Is Daniel Penny coming home today or at some point this week? Is the jury going to do the right thing here and vote this guy not guilty?
Well, look, you never know with a New York jury. That's the God's honest truth, Jason. But the good news is his attorneys, both Steve Razor and specifically Thomas Kniff, dear friends of mine. Thomas is on my New York radio show just about twice a week at this point. He was on yesterday. And they feel very confident that, yes, the jury will, in fact, come back with the right decision. This is one of the most grotesque trials in the history of this country. I told Knipp a couple of days ago, I was convinced O.J. Simpson was guilty. I still am. You know, the fact that Johnny Cochran did a fakakta thing with the glove and Marsha Clark and Chris Darden spent more time in hotel rooms than reading over the prosecution, O.J. found a way to get off, but he was guilty. That's how I feel about this guy. On the other side, he's innocent. This is ridiculous. Look, I'm a big, strong guy. I live in New York City. When I leave you right now, Jason, I'm going to take 2 trains. 2. And I have been in situations where I protected New Yorkers on the train. I'm going to think twice. Why would I do it? Why? So DA Alvin Bragg can bring me up on charges when all Daniel Penny did, all I'd be doing is helping my fellow New Yorkers? This is a huge travesty. It was even brought to a grand jury. So I asked Kniff flat out, I go, if in fact they come back with a guilty verdict, at that point, he's a lawyer for a long time, Jason, do you start to lose faith in the system? He didn't even want to answer that. He said, Sid, we're going to win this. I'm not even considering a guilty verdict. But I'll tell you right now, if this comes back guilty, there'll be issues here in New York. This man is a hero. He's a hero. He's innocent. And Alvin Bragg and Letitia James, the AG, they're all racist. I'm saying it. They're racist. They should be ashamed of themselves. If Daniel Penny was black and Jordan Neely was white, there'd be no case. But because this Marine hero is a white guy, New York wants to hang him. No good.
Totally agree with you about Alvin Bragg and Letitia James. The prosecutor, the district attorney working the case is a woman named Daphne Yoran, or did I get that name right?
Yes.
She seems like a bit of a whack job. I want to play a couple of clips of Daphne Yoran. Let's play shot number 1 of her. This is her explaining how a black defendant who killed someone accidentally, she looked for ways to reduce the charges to manslaughter. Let's play the clip.
So I'm going to give you an example of something that I did with a recent case of mine, and this has never been done in my office. I had a murder case where the defendant did not intentionally kill the victim. He went into an ATM on the Upper West Side and tried to rob an individual. Unfortunately, it was an older individual. He was 86. And in the course of the robbery, he fell to the ground. And as a result, he died. This is, under the law, a felony murder, which is akin to intentional murder. However, when I first got the case, I learned, I took the time to learn about the defendant. And it was a strong case, so it wasn't about a whodunit. I knew immediately who did it. I could prove it. I could take it to trial that day and win it. But it wasn't about that. It was that the more I learned about the defendant and his life and the circumstances, the kinds of things that Jarrell was talking about, that one should take into account the trauma of that individual, I really felt incredibly sorry for him that he had gotten to that point in his life where he felt like there was no other choice but to commit this robbery.
Sid, listening to her is, you couldn't pay me to visit New York right now. And I used to love New York. But from her to Letitia James to Alvin Bragg, you couldn't pay me to visit New York. You have lunatics in charge of your criminal justice system, in charge of your city. Let's be honest. The insurance model is broken. CrowdHealth puts your health care back in your hands. Use the promo code FEARLESS at joincrowdhealth.com. That's Join crowdhealth.com, promo code FEARLESS.
We do. And look, I still love New York. I'm here every day fighting for President Trump like I did for 2 years, and he won. Fighting for Israel. I've been there twice since October the 7th. We're winning there. And things are changing here. Let's not forget President Trump got 44% of the vote in New York. And, you know, in 2022, during the midterms, a lot of Republicans won seats in Congress, assembly positions. So things are changing. But you're right. You know, you've got a crazy AG racist. You've got a crazy DA racist. You've got people like that. I mean, here's the beauty, Jason. If I just showed you that lady's picture, you didn't hear a word from her. I just showed you that lady's picture. And I said, hey, Whitlock, you think that girl's a Democrat or a Republican? You'd know right away. They look a certain way. They look wacky. You know, we're good-looking people, the Republicans. We stay in good shape. We're smart. They look wacky. They are wacky. But things are changing in New York unless he loses. If Daniel Penny is found guilty, then at that point, Jason, I throw my arms up and I go, I don't know what to tell you. But my heart tells me, my brain tells me he's going to be acquitted. He's going to be innocent. Trump did well in New York. We did well in the midterms in 2022, and things are changing. They're lighting the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree tonight, Jason. Don't lose all faith. It's still a beautiful city.
Speaking of things changing, one guy who seems to be changing his tune is your mayor, Eric Adams. I want to play you this clip of him defending that previously he had attacked Daniel Penny, but he's caught a religion since November 5th, and it's actually starting to make sense now. Here's Eric Adams defending Daniel Penny.
The Daniel Penny trial. This is one that I think it's going to the jury next week. This is one that is kind of emblematic of what's going on in New York City right now, at least in the minds of some, where people can't understand why this guy who came to the rescue of others, where Jordan Neely was clearly mentally disturbed and very threatening, he is the guy now on trial because of Alvin Bragg and Jordan Neely. Obviously, it was a tragedy, but what's your thoughts on this as it goes to the jury?
And you should look at that on a multi-faceted approach of everything that's wrong with the system that we're facing. One, look at the photo that they used to show the victims. It seemed like it was a young, innocent child who was brutally murdered, and it gave that impression. When you looked at the photo that was being used, it wanted to set up in the minds of people that we were dealing with a young, innocent child that, just a Michael Jackson intimidator that, was just brutally assaulted. Then you look at the complete failure of our mental health system, a complete failure from the days of closing psychiatric wards and having those who needed help just turned over into the street without giving any safety net to accept them. Parents reach out to me all the time and say, I'm watching my child go down, or my loved one, my family member going down this serious decline. What do we do? A system where you brought people into hospitals, gave them medicine for one day, and sent them back. The young man in this case was going within our system, throughout the revolving door of our system. Now, we're on the subway where we're hearing someone talking about hurting people, killing people. You have someone on that subway who was responding, doing what we should have done as a city and a state of having a mental health facility. Those passengers were afraid. I've been on the subway system. I know what it is as a police officer to wrestle or fight with someone. It is imperative that you look at the totality of this problem. I'm hoping that the jury will hear all the facts. Based on all the facts that's laid out, a jury of his peers would make the right decision. And I don't want to prejudge that. I'm just looking at all the facts that are involved here and what we did to get to where we are and what we're seeing. Because that could have easily been a case where you saw 3 innocent people murdered on our street 2 weeks ago. We have to recognize we have a mental health crisis and we're not doing enough to solve it.
Sid, what's going on with Eric Adams?
Well, it's funny. I actually started my #1 show in New York with everything you just played, Jason, so you're on top of it. But I actually played before that clip with Astorino, the clip from 2 years ago, right after the incident happened, where Eric Adams said, "Oh, his name Jordan Neely, same name as my son Jordan. That could have been my son, one of us, black man like me." He was not very sympathetic to Penny. He's changed. Look, he's done a complete 180. You know why? He's been indicted. All of his friends have been indicted, and he needs our friend, President Donald J. Trump, to pardon him. I mean, look what he's done here. You know, he used to call himself, Jason? He used to refer to himself as the Biden of Brooklyn. That was his own nickname. Gave it to himself. Now he's on the phone with Trump every day. He was a guy that said to the illegals, "Come on, baby. I got 5-star hotels. I've got cash. I've got credit cards." Now he wants to meet with my friend Tom Homan, who wants to kick these people out. And 2 years ago, Jordan Neely was a sympathetic figure. And today, Daniel Penny was the hero that should be treated right by the jury. It's all nonsense. He's doing all of this to get in the good graces of President Trump. I got news for you. He's going to run again for mayor, Jason. He won as a Democrat. It would not surprise me if he completely changes parties, because when he was a senator in New York, he was a Republican. He's gone from Republican to Democrat. He may go back and primary Curtis Sliwa as a Republican in the mayor race, but he's doing all of this to stay in the good graces of President Trump because he may need his help for a pardon.
So would you welcome him on board, or do you say throw him to the wolves?
Stands for nothing. I don't dislike Eric Adams. People in New York know that I befriended Eric Adams. I thought it was important, Jason, for Eric to have a Republican conservative voice in his ear. And to his credit, to Eric's credit, he did it. We got along great. We went to lunches. We went to dinners, fancy places, by the way, Cipriani's, Wolfgang, the whole thing. We had great text conversations till the FBI took all of his phones. We were getting along great. But he stands for nothing. Whatever the progressive left wants him to do, he does it. Now they've stabbed him in the back. Now they've left him for dead, basically. So now he's warming up to Donald Trump and the Republicans. I don't like those guys politically. I want a guy that stays his ground like you do, Jason, on this show, like I do on my show, like Donald Trump does. That's why Trump won so easily. That's not Eric Adams. He goes wherever the wind blows. If it can help him, defense fund, politically, money, a brand new suit, he's good to go. That's not my type of guy.
Like what you saw? Hit that like button, subscribe, and check out the full episode by clicking the link below.